What I love having about getting you on this program is you really have a lot of insight into consumer behavior. What are the trends that you're seeing from computers to keyboards to game consoles? What sort of permanent and structural shifts have you really noticed in the last few months?
Well, our whole business, as you suggest, our business is really structured around these secular trends that are going through. The rise of video, people using video everywhere in the office and at home. PC gaming, so gaming at home, and then remote work, working from anywhere. And then the democratization of creating your own content through Instagram or Twitch or YouTube. And so those long-term trends have been continuing, and our business has grown really well over the last 4 or 5 years against them. What we're seeing now is all of them are accelerating, as you might expect.
Are you seeing these as permanent shifts? Are you preparing your business for that?
Yeah, I think these trends are permanent. I mean, I don't know if you can expect the kind of growth rates we saw in our last quarter, which were really strong, especially the last month, permanently. But I think you can expect that these are permanent moves. More and more people are going to work from home. As you just said, Mark Zuckerberg announced that Facebook's going to be a 50-50 probably within the next few years. I imagine it'll be faster and even more. More and more companies do. Dell announced something. Google announced they're going to keep everybody at home until the end of the year, just about. So it's just a wave that's coming through, and I think it's going to be really hard to suck that wave back. One of the things we're seeing, Taylor, is that people really like working from home. There are downsides, but boy, overall, it's a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. More and more, I think of people around us are trying to find the positives in that work from home environment. It's interesting that you brought up earnings, and on that earnings call, you talked a little bit about inventory. Curious, given that you're in the hardware space, what trends are you noticing within inventory, within supply chains, sort of the disruptions that we saw there? Have those resolved themselves?
Well, as back in the middle of our fourth quarter, so our Jan to March quarter, we had a disruption in our supply chain because China completely shut down. So every factory, everything, we couldn't make it stick, couldn't make a single product for 3 weeks. So that put us on our heels, and we had a lot of catching up to do. So we started to ramp up, and by the time we got to the end of March, we were almost at full capacity, and now we are at full capacity. In the meantime, this other thing happened called, shelter in place. And that drove a run on some of our products, including webcams. So we immediately sold out of webcams, and we're on our way back in those. So I'd say we've had 2 waves of supply chain disruption, one a bad one, and the other one kind of a favorable one.
And you're finding that you're being able to replace a lot of that inventory that is so desperately needed right now on time or as soon as you can?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really good at ramping up and ramping down, so we're ramping up quickly, and we should be in better shape. By the end of the quarter, we'll be in good shape.
Do you have any supply chain exposure in China? I know, for example, today we've been increasingly talking about ramped up trade tensions between the U.S. and China and some more tariffs and retaliation. Are you concerned at all about moving a potential supply chain, if you have it there in China, to somewhere else?
Well, we lived this last year, right? So we had tariffs across many of our products, and we're pretty good at doing 2 things. One is we tend to be the leader in our categories. So where we needed to, we could raise price and reflect the tariff cost in the pricing. And then in other cases, we could move manufacturing. We move manufacturing very regularly. We have our own factory, but we also make about half what we sell in other people's factories. So we're used to moving things in and out. So we moved things out where it made sense. We left things in where it didn't, and we'll do that again if we have to.
What has the recovery in China looked like, and what sort of insight can that glean to a recovery that we're now starting to look at in the U.S. as we start to talk about phases of a reopening? Is there any insight that you're noticing in some of the Asian countries that you can sort of circle back and glean to the U.S.?
Yeah, I think the right country to focus on is China. I would say it's probably not the Asian countries, because a lot of them are, especially the developing countries, are still sort of in shelter-in-place mode like we are. Yeah, I think, you're seeing in China, at least, we're seeing things are coming back to a more normalized level. And while the growth is not enormous, it's good, solid growth. And this is just 2 or 3 months after the shelter-in-place programs went through there. Now, they were already way ahead of us in being online. So they were, in our business, for example, we had 70% of our business was already online compared to about 35% before the pandemic here. So maybe they had a little bit of a lead in bouncing back, but overall, it looks pretty good over there.
You know, you also have to anticipate some changes in consumer habits to be prepared for a spike in inventory and a spike in demand. What sort of consumer habits are you anticipating, whether it be video cameras or some new devices that you then expect the consumer to adopt in the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, we keep a lot of our new products a secret, so I couldn't disclose it here, or they'd have to.
We're here to make news. Come on.
Well, I happen to be holding a new product. It'll be very exciting, but I can't show it to you on camera. No, I think the reality is you're going to see. I think we'll continue to see good, strong demand in gaming. You know, gaming is a fascinating space. You know, the World Health Organization actually encouraged people, partnered with some of those companies you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, to encourage people to play a part together, to play safely, be able to stay socially connected playing video games. And I think, you know, even if they hadn't done that, and you know that has no effect, the rise of PC gaming and virtual gaming is not going to let up. So I think you can expect more there. I think you can expect more video everywhere. You know, we're on video, you know, out of my house. I've got 3 setups in my house. I encourage everybody to have at least 3. Of course, it's very self-serving. But I think there will be more and more people doing video out of their homes and trying to look better on videos. They're going to upgrade their cameras. And then finally, the most exciting thing to me in a way is the creativity, the explosion of creativity that's come out of this period. The dark side, of course, is the unemployment, the illness, the effect on families. The bright side is the constraints we put on everybody has created this explosion of creativity, and whether it's musicians or bloggers. And I can't tell you how many people I've seen creating their own video blog now. It's super, super exciting. And we're in the middle of that business because we make the equipment and the tools and a thing called Streamlabs, which is a service that you can use to become